Hello and welcome to Lisbon. Welcome to the very first episode of this season's ESC Daily Show. I'm joined today by Eleanor Chalkley and Cornald Maas. Cornald, you're the commentator for the Netherlands. How long have you been in Lisbon and how do you like it here so far?
I did arrive at Sunday evening after a huge delay at the airport of the Netherlands, Schiphol. So I didn't see only the rehearsal of Bulgaria. And then since yesterday morning I saw all the rehearsals of the countries from the second part of the first semi-final, and I just saw San Marino performing with Who We Are, and I fell down on the floor. Something like that.
Eleanor, how about you? How do you like Lisbon?
It's great. Everything I've eaten has been fantastic. It's beautiful. The sort of urban grunge aesthetic is beautiful. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it's really lovely, Lisbon. I've been here already 50 times in my past.
Wow.
First time was in 1988, I guess, and yeah.
But this is for the first time that we're here for an actual Eurovision, even though Portugal's been taking part for so long.
Yeah, 55 times or so, I think.
They
never entered the top 5 in their history, and then last year they won with a song in their own language, with a real meaning, and without any much ado but nothing. No, it was like just singing, real music. I liked it very much last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and here we are. Eleanor, you were very much early prepared for this year's contest because I read your article about the jury vote change even before the rehearsal started here. The EBU released this press release saying that the jury vote will slightly be changed. Can you explain to the viewers who maybe haven't seen it yet what the change, what it entails?
Okay, so we're changing it so that a song which divides the jurors isn't at risk of losing out on points at all. The songs which are going to win semi-finals, which are going to get 10 and 12 points, that's not going to change. But the new exponential weight system means that having a single juror rank you very low, it doesn't count as a sort of negative point against you. It's more like a very small positive point. It's not a disaster if you're somebody's last place, but it's great news if you're somebody's first, second, third, fourth place. It's quite a nice change. It's a bit like the old system when the juries just gave us their top 10s and then everybody else got nothing for the ranking, but with a little bit of extra for the people mid-table.
It works for the ones that are different from everybody else, I guess. And usually, I know from your commentary, that's the stuff that you like, stuff that's different from everything else at Eurovision.
Yeah, because I always think if you play on safe, it's not good enough because people won't vote for it, and I think the jurors won't like it that much. I believe strongly in, let's say, being the best in your own genre.
So how did it turn out? Because you compared this new system, you applied it to a previous year. Were there any major changes that you found in your research?
No. One of the countries that got 1 point from a jury in a semi-final would go up to 3 points. Somebody who got 5 points for being safe would maybe go down to 3 points. It's small changes around the edges that will affect people who may have just missed out on qualification or just scraped qualification because they're safe. And I think that anything that doesn't reward safeness is going to be good for the health of the contest.
So who do we think benefits most from this year?
Hungary.
Yeah, Hungary. Yeah.
Hungary now only need to be first place with 1 juror. They can be last place with everybody else, and they would still get 1 jury point. That's obviously not going to necessarily be enough to qualify. They would need a very strong televote, but they could still get jury points.
And they will have a strong televote, I guess.
Oh yes.
It's underrated, I think, with the bookies. Hungary.
It's a pop song with guitars on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guitars this year, actually.
Yeah.
It's not just our Waylon from the Netherlands who has a rock song.
When I saw Salvador Sobral winning last year, I thought we're gonna have many ballads or so, but no. It's and there's a variety of styles anyway this year, from opera, rock, country, rock, dance, and so on. So
the
it's
beautiful
quite
polyphonic ballad from Georgia.
yes, Georgia, very authentic.
Yeah.
It's cool that there are some countries returning to their own languages with their own music. Even if you don't like the music, it's still authentic, and that's what I like about Eurovision too.
Yeah, we're here to learn.
Yeah, and that means there is already a lot of variety, and with this jury system, it encourages countries maybe to do so, to continue to do so in the upcoming years.
For sure.
Yeah. So what is the most, even regarding this rule or disregarding it, what are the most jury-friendly packages that we've seen so far? Stuff that could do really well in the jury vote.
Whoa, let me see.
Bulgaria and Austria.
Yeah,
The symphonic songs are put together in such a way, from the production to the staging to the artists, where if you look at the criteria that juries are asked to vote on, there's not really an area where you can mark them down.
And Croatia was a nice surprise. It's, I think, underrated as well with the bookies anyway.
Yeah.
It was at 38th place or so. It's now a bit up, but she sings very good.
I was not convinced by the song, but I was by this when I saw her here on the stage live. She's very good.
Yeah, and it's a nice song though. It reminds me a bit of "Stop" of Sam Brown or "Falling" of Alicia Keys, something like that. It's good. And for instance, Belgium, which is a really good song, but at stage she doesn't very much impress. So maybe Croatia will qualify, not Belgium. Could be a non-shock qualifier.
Belgium still has time, though. In previous years, we've seen them.
With Blanche last year, it was the same. Yeah,
yes,
true.
they needed time to grow throughout the rehearsals.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, another country that hasn't had a very fortunate first rehearsal is the Czech Republic. Although Mikolas looked very good on stage, afterwards we heard that he hurt his back and he had to go to the hospital.
First of all, sorry guys that Mikolas is not here. Can't be here because while he was performing some acrobatics during the first rehearsal, he hurt his back a bit. So he spent some time with a local doctor. And he sent him to hospital just to do a precautionary check. So I think it will be nothing major, but just to be sure, he had to go to hospital.
So Mikolas Joseph hurt his back. For one day he said that he was barely able to walk, but then yesterday he released a more promising statement through his Instagram saying he was able to go for a lunch and they're still waiting for the CT scans to come back to see how serious his injury is. Were you here already in time to see that rehearsal, to see what went wrong?
I arrived too late, yeah.
Did you see it? What happened to him?
I didn't see it, but I was aware that he was talking to Heinrich about safety concerns and, you know, whether he would make the jump that he was trying to make. So it's really unfortunate for a guy who is probably on the verge of being a big pop star. You know, he just got signed to a major label, and it's heartbreaking that his Eurovision is put at risk by this accident.
He said, I will perform no matter what, but there might be some changes to the performance now that might affect his chances. What do you think?
I don't know yet, because I didn't see anything yet of his live performance here at rehearsals. You did, but was it good?
He's certainly not going to be able to do the flip that he was doing, and a lot of fandom have been asking him to lose the backpack, and I'm guessing he'll be losing the backpack now. But he's a cool guy. He's very young. He's at that age where, you know, young guys feel like they're invincible. He's been looked after by the best Portuguese medical care. I think we'll get him to stage and he will give us not necessarily what they first thought, but something great.
And maybe some sympathy votes as well because of this, if the commentators will tell his story. And
are you going to?
I will, yes, I think I will, yeah.
So the Czech Republic, of course, they came here as one of the top favorites, even though they've never scored a single televote point in a Eurovision final ever
They ended
before.
up only once in the final, I guess, yeah.
That's going to change.
Yes, that's going to change for sure, yeah.
And so, what do you think, I ask you because you have the experience on this area, what could that change for them at the Eurovision Song Contest? Because I know, for example, the Netherlands has had a very bad run, and then Anouk came, of course, and everything changed. Do you think something similar like that could happen for Czech Republic?
I hope so anyway, that he could, let's say, something make something possible for other artists in Czech Republic which are musically credible, who would like to take part in future. So I hope Czech Republic will reach a final and top 10, because it's a really good, very contemporary song, which is quite nice. But I wasn't too impressed though by his performances during the pre-parties in Amsterdam or so. It was like understated.
Yeah, well, there's dancers now, and who knows what that may bring him. He's not the only, like the Czech Republic is not even the only country that has had a bad streak of Eurovision results and is now all the way on top there, of course.
San Marino.
Well, San Marino may not be one of the top favorites. Israel is though, and let's take a look at their first rehearsal and how that went.
I'm not your but I am honored. I am honored that a figure like me, which doesn't look like the standard, doesn't think, create, thinks outside of the box, and originality is written on my flag. I am proud to be the favorite. I think it's a great change happening in Israel and worldwide, and this is an amazing feeling. I'm trying to stay super focused. I know I need to work really hard in order to really bring Eurovision back to Israel after 20 years, and I am hoping, we are hoping to do it, me and the amazing Israeli delegation.
So people like me are usually not big pop stars, are usually not big Eurovision favorites. That's what Netta said at the press conferences today. How good is it for Eurovision that she is now a top favorite though?
She has a very good story, I think, even in her song. It's not very explicit, but she sings, I think, about the fact that she felt never accepted by, let's say, guys and girls of her own age in the past. And people always ask her, so you do like singers like Adele, we assume, because you're, let's say, a bit fat, and she doesn't like that. So I think people could, I think people like her a lot because of this, yeah, about her story. And the Me Too story, of course, is in it as well. But all the last winners, Conchita Wurst, Jamala, Salvador Sobral, they really had, even Mons Selmerlöw, Conchita Wurst, they had good stories together with their songs, and I think that's very important to convince the juries and the televoting.
It's not just art for art anymore, for art's sake at this point.
For me, the first thing that Netta is an extremely talented technical performer and improviser. When she was performing in Next Star, because at ESC Insight we're nerds, we were watching all of the clips. They're a bit difficult, but you know, watching all the clips, and we saw this fantastic improvising looper artist with this charisma, and we hoped so hard that we would get her because she's just magical. But we also acknowledged that she is at risk of triggering a lot of people's internal biases because she doesn't fit the acceptable faces of women at Eurovision mold. People are saying, oh, it's like Bojana, like, and that is so insulting. To say that she is like somebody totally unconnected to her, who's a singer from a different genre because of her size. Eurovision has a bit of a misogyny problem, and to have Netta's gleeful yell of feminist power is brilliant.
It's always about framing in Eurovision, because she really has a story. She's a very good singer, as you noticed, but people in Holland, they could easily say things like, oh, it's just a singing chicken, and is our Whalen gonna lose from a singing chicken, and so on, but that's not the story.
No, she's a fantastic musician.
And very authentic as well. Yeah.
And could be a very good, a very positive Eurovision winner now as well.
Yeah, and
if she managed to.
And this could be a hit all over Europe. Unlike Amar Pelus Deutsch, it was not a hit in Europe.
Yeah.
And Jamala, no.
Could be good for the charts then as well.
Yeah, for the charts,
I have one last question, because you're of course a commentator. I want to know, what do you think being a commentator, you already mentioned, you know, if everybody's going to mention Czech's back problems, maybe he's going to get sympathy votes. How big of an influence do you think that you have as a commentator on this Eurovision?
I don't think the influence is too big, because I think people at home, they would argue about the songs themselves. But still, if I'm always very much into giving real information, with some irony maybe sometimes, but and information you would grab here in Lisbon, not just by reading everything on the internet or so. So for instance, last year I was telling a story about the Danish singer. Her parents lived in Australia, and they were very proud at her daughter that she was participating for Denmark, the country in which she didn't grow up, and that's a relevant story, I would say, more than she was taking part in X Factor or so. So I'm very much into that all the time. But I don't know. My opinion is not that interesting for the audience. They have to take care of their opinions themselves, I would say.
Will you be explaining what the French song is about?
Of course.
Of course.
Very
yes.
much. And the Italian song, of course. Yes. And I will explain everything about Netta as well. It's really important, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about other countries then? Because, for example, I look at Graham Norton and I think, is this really helping the image of Eurovision in the UK?
Yeah, but he's very funny, but it's not... the United Kingdom is the only country that still doesn't have a clue about what to do in Eurovision terms to score, let's say. And I think it has something to do with... in England, people still think it's only about laughing about the songs, and I think it's not a good base.
It is so frustrating to be a British Euro fan that our delegation is making an effort, but parts of its organisation are working against the hard work being done by the delegation.
Yes.
And I don't know whether they realise that that is the reason why the highest quality songwriters, our top tier pop stars, can't be recruited. Because
don't want to be in Eurovision.
There is no way that any top 10 British act would be willing to set themselves up for the onslaught of tabloid press, the sniffiness from the BBC itself towards their work.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking forward. Yeah, it is.
Because the UK is so important for music. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have all these great artists.
And Eurovision is also about music, not only, but yeah.
But definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were going to be waiting for Suri's rehearsal
She's
later.
Very nice.
Later
the way
this
she
week.
was doing her thing at Eurovision in concert.
Yeah, of
at
course, you
Madame
met her
Monsieur.
there.
Yeah, but
she's wonderful. I don't know what we've done to deserve her.
Yeah.
There you go then. Okay, so I'm going to wish you very good luck preparing for your commentary. Could you tell us a little bit shortly about what ESC Insight, what we can expect from you in the upcoming weeks?
So we've gone daily with the podcast, which is the Big Orange Sofa Show, where we're coming with interviews and sites around Lisbon, all in an audio format. We will also be doing Eurovision Castaways Live at Eurocafe with Slavko is going to be our newest guest on the desert island.
There you go then.
Yeah, well, he's a friend of our organisation now. And we will also be providing the usual in-depth, nerdy, numerical content essays on ESCinsight.com.
I look forward to it, so check ESC Insight and also keep checking ESC Daily for all the latest updates. Thank you for watching the ESC Daily Show and good night.